Good afternoon, or good morning to some of you. My name is Ricardo Teixeira. I'm from Portugal. I'm an ETCMA member and also a member of the Institute of Portugal. My small presentation is about the situation of chem therapies in Portugal. So, a conventional law for an unconventional medicine. The situation of complementary alternative medicines or chem medicines in Portugal. I will pass very quickly for every situation because the laws are normally difficult to explain. So now in Portugal you have 7 therapies that are regulated. You have acupuncture, ophthalmologist, osteopathic, naturopathic, chiropractic, traditional Chinese medicine, and homeopathic, still missing the cycle of studies for higher education degrees. So they are not complete yet. So on July 24, it was created a law, a kind of umbrella law to all chem therapies. And recognize, and this is, I think is very important, recognize technical and deontological professional autonomy. So we have independence from other members or other professional health professionals. Of course, this control is made by agencies of the government. To work as a chem therapist in Portugal, you need to be licensed. This license is from the Central Administration of Health Systems. You need to have a liability insurance with about 150,000 euros. You have to be registered in the tax authorities. You can only work in health clinics, so you cannot work on herbal shops, you cannot work on pharmacies. This is very clear. The law has the standards for the clinics, how it functions. The employers, it's the same regulation for any health practitioner. And also, you have to be regulated and registered in the health regulation entity. That is an entity in Portugal that regulates social, public and private sectors of health systems. So how did we get here? In August, the Portuguese Parliament passed a law. This was the first law about chem therapies. And this law has had 180 days to be complete. But in Portugal, sometimes the things is very slow. So nothing happened. In 2004, it was created a task force. The problem is that task force have trouble understanding themselves. They have problems between them. There was a lot of discussions and nothing was made, nothing was done. Between May 2004 and 2011, we had several parties and several governments from different parties, and it was difficult. And Portugal also passed for a situation, economic situation, very complicated. And so these kind of situations are put behind, you know. So during this period, from October 2011 to July 2013, it was voted and approved a draft law forced to complete the law from 2003. And between August 2013 until yesterday, I don't know if any law comes out, but we have a general law for non-conventional therapies, and we have several diplomas, around 18, 19 diplomas to support this law. This year, the beginning of this year, VAT can become VAT-free. And that's very important because this gives us equality to the other health practitioners in Portugal. So what were the keys to open this law? Several stakeholders, professions from chem therapies, school from chem therapies, medical, nursing, pharmacists, and also the Ministry of Health. I put here two persons here. One is Dr. Pedro Ribeiro da Silva, who is now the president of the Council of non-conventional therapies, because in Portugal we cannot use the word medicine. It's not chem, it's, we call it terapias não convencionais. Therapies non-conventional. So Pedro Ribeiro da Silva is one of the biggest, he's a doctor, and he is one of the biggest pushers for this law. And also Dr. Paulo Macedo, who was the former Minister of Health. These were two key players to this law to come out. Even this Minister of Health was very important because he put the traditional Chinese medicine on the law for chem therapies. Because the first law in the 2003 didn't have the traditional Chinese medicine. So it's very important. It was without a doubt the two biggest figures, but also a lot of professionals, general public, went to the streets. We did several protests, manifestations. Also, we made a survey, a petition. It was one of the biggest in Portugal, and this would pass the law to be discussed in Parliament, the number of signatures we could arrange. So how can you become a chem therapist in Portugal? You have here the law, the requirements for asking a license, and you have two ways. The grandfather clause, this is before October 2013, and with a chem higher education degree. So the grandfather clause, this regulates the access to a professional license for those therapists that are already working as just before the publication of the law 71. So there was created a system of points. So you have educational background, professional experience, basic training in chem, additional training in chem, and also supplementary accreditation. So how this work? So the system of points is like this. If you have this is for instance, if you are an engineer, you have a degree, so you have 3 points. This is your educational background. Okay, so 9 years of school, 1 point, 12 years 2 points, higher education degree 3 points, master or PhD 4 points. Professional experience. This has to send. They have to send a document from the tax authorities saying that you are working as a chem therapist 3 years, 6 years, 9 years, and this also is points. Basic training in chem. You have to send also documents with the number of hours you have for basic training. Additional training in chem. So for instance, this congress, you have certification, you could be sent there because you have the hours you pass on classes. So it has additional training in chem. The supplementary accreditations were put it here a little bit to help health professionals. So if you have a higher education degree, you have 2 points extra in every kind. If you are a nurse or a medical doctor, you have 2 points extra. If you have any publications or index publications, you have 1 point. 3 or more, 2 points. So these were the data, and this is very important because the Minister of Health make a survey, and they think there are in Portugal around 20,000 practitioners of chem therapists. But when they open the applications for the professional license, only receive 3,610 applications. And some of these applications is double. For instance, I asked for acupuncture and herbologist. So you can see here acupuncture is the most one with applications, then osteopathic, naturopathic, and herbologist. Chiropractic, I think it was about 31 persons that asked for the chiropractic. Okay, so the system works like this. If you have less than 8 points, the sum of that points, if you have less than 8 points, you don't have a license to practice. If you have between 8 to 13 points, you can have a provisional license to work. You have 2 years, then you have to do some formation, but this is still not clear what kind of training you have to do. So what they say now, today, is don't worry, after 2 years, they give you 2 years more, okay? If you have more than 14 points or 14 points, you have a definitive license. Again, they say that you need to have continuous formation, continuous training, but they are not clear about this also. So this is the evaluation course. You have 20% that has a definitive license, you have 36% that don't have a definitive license, provisional license. You have 29 that need more documents, 13 that don't have any license to work, and you have 2% that goes to an expert. They created a group of experts that will go evaluate a situation that is not clear. So this could change a lot because the 29% could deviate between the others. Okay? So one is the grandfather clause, the other is by a education degree. Again, I put here the acupuncture. Is more or less the same for everyone. We think that TCM, one of the blockages for TCM is that they want 5 years, not 4 years. So we're still not very clear about this. So the degree in acupuncture, you have 8 semesters, in a total of 240 credits. You have fundamental science, clinical science and techniques, principles of acupuncture practice, you train in other fields. So you have, in the fundamental science, neurophysiology, functional anatomy, molecular health education, clinical science, at least 45 credits, pathology, interview elaboration of clinic history, first aids and basic life support. This is the biggest part they want. 90 credits at least. Fundamental theories of acupuncture, acupuncture diagnostic methods, therapeutic methods of acupuncture. This is one of the problems also we will face. You have to have at least 1,000 hours of internship, but the problem is, imagine you have 100 students, where are you going to put them? Because they have to be supervised by a licensed practitioner. So you see, very few people have the license. So if you have a clinic, you put there 5 students next to you to work. So this is a problem we are trying also to come up with a solution. When even the schools, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, because the problem is this law branches a lot of ministries. You have Ministry of Health, Education, Finance, Agriculture, because we are talking about plants, and a bunch of agencies. So it's difficult. The other train of field is very important, the research in acupuncture, communication science, ethics and ontology. So for the foreign practitioner that comes to Portugal to have a license, it's important that they have to go to a university or higher education school and ask for an equivalence of her or her diploma, and after having that declaration, that certificate, they have to do what I showed in the last slide. They have to go to the central health system of health. Sorry, Administration Center of Health of Portugal to ask for the license. Have to be registered in the tax authority. Has to have a liability insurance. So it's the same thing, but first has to pass. This is the same for every profession that comes to Portugal. Okay? If you are a medical doctor, you have a special commission inside the Chamber of Doctors that gives you the condition to practice acupuncture. What they say is you have to send your resume for there. You have to be a physician, you have to be a medical doctor, and you have to do a post-graduation course. In the site of the Chamber of Doctors, they say about 300 hours of training, and 150 has to be present. But we have 3 schools in Portugal that gives post-graduation for medical doctors. And I saw their curriculum, and they are about 165, 166 1,650, 1,680, more or less. So the schools try to give more information than the Chamber of Doctors. Okay, so this is important also. And one other thing is the medical doctors are not, the law 71/2013 doesn't apply to medical doctors. If they have any problems, the Chamber of Doctors have a special commission that will evaluate the situation in Portugal for medical doctors. So again, this is very important for us because for this year we had one of the biggest petitions, 120,000 petitions. We had a thing in the street with the theme, health doesn't pay VAT, and it was extraordinary, the people get engaged. So we still haven't arrived at the end yet, still have obstacles in front of us. We have problems with the schools in TCM homeopathic, we still haven't the cycle of studies. You have constant problems with the Chamber of Doctors and people from the scientific community. We have to create a union between chem therapies. We have some problems because we have different approaches to the problem. So this year we are trying to do a congress with all the chem therapies and together a union in one condition, migraines. So everyone can contribute with a solution inside their chem specialities. Like I said, the internship for the students, the problem is, how can we integrate chem in deeper levels of the national health system, in hospitals and public clinics? Now we have also a big problem with the people after 2013. So imagine that you are finished your course in 2015 and you still don't have any school open doing the course of acupuncture. So the law is clear, before October 2013. So you are in purgatory. You don't know if they're going to make a change in the law, if you have to do again all of your course. So it's a lot of students now in Portugal with this problem. And also the question, what kind of training does a definitive professional license has to do? No laws is perfect, but I think this one is good enough to be a starting point for other countries, in European countries. So, like Lao Tse says, a great law begins with the first step. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, no?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Professor, for this information. So, what's the? Do you have a? Maybe I didn't follow it. Is there any organization in Portugal to take a responsibility for this registration?
For the registration?
Yeah.
Yes. I can show you here the name. Central Administration Health Systems, ACSS. Yeah, this is a government agency, because in Portugal we have lots of agencies, you know, and this one is the one that regulates all chem therapies. They have a commission, and the president of that commission has to belong to this agency, has to be an employer of this agency.
So actually they authorize a new agency for chem, right? It's a new organization.
No, they're not. I don't understand, because this is only there are no associations. This is a government agency that regulates.
Yeah, I know before, because now you start to try to regulate the CAN, but before that, maybe some years ago, there was no ACSS, right?
There were, but the CSS controls not only chem therapies, control a lot of for instance, pathologists are controlled by them. They control therapies of health, not medical doctors. not nurses, because they have the special chambers. But the other ones that don't have a chamber, any health profession has to be inside of this government agency.
Okay, thank you. My second question is about you just mentioned it was school how many hours for teaching or for clinical apprenticeship. So is there any related to the registration of the CM? Is there any policy on the like school accreditations or for the share the common core curriculum of the schools? So how do you evaluate or accredit the schools?
The schools are the schools have to be. It's not here. There is an agency that gives accreditation to higher education schools. So the agency is called A3ES. Okay, A3ES. It's again a branch of the government, an agency that controls every schools from higher education. The problem is that for instance, in Portugal, for you to have a course, you need to have the professors of the course have to have a PhD at least 75%. So if you don't have a course, a degree in acupuncture, how can you find a PhD in acupuncture in Portugal? This is one of the problems. So this was one of the reasons that the law started in 2013, and now this year, probably, it's not clear yet, probably in September we will have 5 schools. But this is schools that are already in the higher education system. The other schools, maybe is that what you're asking? The other schools that exist now have to have a law that they can pass to become a higher school. They have to have requirements. They cannot say, oh, I'm in Portugal working with the school in 10 years. Doesn't matter. You have to have a campus, you have to have professionals with PhD, a series of regulations.
But it is the organizations who give the school accreditation the same as to all general universities, the same organization?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All of the schools that are not higher education schools cannot give the course of acupuncture, for instance.
Okay.
They have to wait because initially there were 5 years of transition. You have 5 years to put your school in higher education standards. But the problem is the law didn't come out. So we are a little bit lazy and we let the things roll, you know? So a lot of people from post-2013 comes out of the schools. Today you have people entering the schools and they don't know what has going to happen.
So actually for the accreditation is including not only the core curriculum, also with the basic infrastructure, etc., right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they didn't start to make a core curriculum especially for TCM. It's not there yet, or?
What they did was, I worked with a higher education school in Portugal, and that school was very interesting and had a TCM course there. So we started to do it in 2012, before the law. We started to do the course, and we had to adapt it when we saw the curriculum for acupuncture, for instance. What they do, what the Minister of Education did was send a letter to all schools and try to find a common ground and what kind of principles do you have to have a core curriculum. So one of the main principle was 50-50. You have to have 50% of conventional therapy, conventional medicine, and the other ones is scan therapy. TCM, one of the problems with TCM is if TCM becomes 5 years, you can only have TCM in universities. In Portugal, it's forbidden to have any courses in higher education degrees that is more than 5. More than 5, you have to go to the university. Portugal, you have to university and higher education schools. So if one of this, the problem is also because you are talking about traditional Chinese medicine, and the problem with the word medicine, it's very, very complicated in Portugal.
Okay, thank you very much.
I was reading that for foreign people coming there,
Yeah.
you have a commission for the recognition of academic talents. So this means that you only recognize people coming from university? Because no. And how are the foreign schools
Okay.
doing to be
What this
judged?
happened is that commission is in every school. It's not one commission for everyone. For instance, you have a degree in physical education. One of the best schools in Portugal is in Guarda. So what you do is you go to the school in Guarda and you give your resume and say, this is my degree from this university. I worked X years and I want to have, I want my course to be acknowledged by the Portuguese, to work here.
Okay, but since acupuncture normally is not taught in universities, so let's say that you have studied acupuncture in a British school or in a German school.
Yeah, that could be. I don't have a solution for everything. your questions are questions we do there. What happened normally is, like, for instance, for me, I asked for my license. I can work, but I don't have a degree. I'm only a practitioner. I don't have a degree in acupuncture because I don't have any school in Portugal that says you have a degree in acupuncture. So I can go to my school, any school, and say I want to have my resume to be evaluated, and I want to work in the university, or I want to work and have the degree. But the law in Portugal now says that you have the right to 1/3 of the entire course. So I have to do 2/3. So what's happened is you right there and says I work, okay, you have 2/3. The rest you have to pay it. Because in Portugal there were 2 ministers that had a degree by passing, So they blocked that. So you have to have at least 2/3 of your course there. They don't allow it. It depends. For instance, there are universities that already have protocols with others. So when that happens, you can try to have the.
Yes, university is never a problem because there is a accreditation system in Europe by which you are compelled to do that. What I'm asking you is for education that is outside universities, private colleges. Yeah, how are private European colleges evaluated?
Depends on the university. There are no law that states that what are the schools that they are. For instance, the commission, the task force that evaluate all the curriculums, didn't spend much time looking at curriculums from China, because they know that if you want to go to have a degree in Chinese medicine and you go to China, you just have to have money. So what they did is, if the degree doesn't have the number of hours and signed, and then passed by a commission of experts, then they can use it. So a lot of people that send the immense course they have, some of them were, because this process is a blind process. They only evaluate the documents you send. They don't sit with you, tell you what's the point. They're not there yet. And also the schools have the problem because they don't know what the acupuncture is. I have that problem with the school I was working. We have a group of 5 people working on the core curriculum. Only 2 worked. Me and a colleague, because the other ones didn't know Chinese medicine. So yeah, we are going to have a problem. And no PhDs in acupuncture, we are going to have a problem. The first group that comes out acupuncture will be very terrible.
Just a general question. I'm intrigued with the political process and all of the complexities involved in it, but I'm really interested to know where the experts are coming from. How are they qualified? Because if you're qualified and you're already recognized, well then they hardly use.
Okay, the experts normally they ask for people that has a solid practitioner in Portugal. For instance, one of the persons that was asked was Pedro Schroeder. Yes, knows also. He's a person that has a lot of influence, a lot of schools. He makes around 300 students every year of acupuncture in this school. So you have there three major schools in Portugal, and they asked for one person from each school to go to traditional Chinese medicine and the other for acupuncture. So they are different. And they only work when there appears a condition like curriculum from Taiwan, and then don't know what school it is, what are their academic goals, and so they can see it. Yeah.
Does the ETCMA have an accreditation committee that can be helpful to countries that are looking at this process?
Jasmine.
Yes. No, this would be a glorious endeavour. And at the moment we don't really have the resources. However, what we are trying to establish is a core curriculum.
Right.
A generic core curriculum, which schools within our members' countries can measure their courses against.
So does the core curriculum exist? Is it standing?
No, well, no, there's the bones of one.
The bones.
There's the bones of one which now needs to be developed. But what's quite difficult, of course, within the European situation is that not only are legislative arrangements very different in each country, educational systems are different in each country, and it's actually very hard to get things to, the problem is, because there's so much complexity, you end up going perhaps for simplicity in order to get something that's generic, and so you don't actually want to do that. So it is quite a complex task to get the information that you require through all the different languages and the translation of people's curriculums to see how we can get this done. There is a standard that we would like to achieve that we can look at from other countries and other places that have achieved this, but it's still quite difficult to apply it to the European situation. Yes, it's an aim.
Is there a standing committee today that is...
Well, at the moment there are two people who are working on the education committee, me and Queema, and it's about to go soon. So
perhaps we can continue this conversation with an expert sitting behind me.
Who?
Eugene London is here.
Oh, yeah.
He's got deep expertise in this matter, right? Am I lying? Or am I making it up?
You're lying a little bit.
We have a very well developed accreditation system in the UK, but it requires enormous amounts of resources. And currently, to be honest, the ETCMA does not have those resources.
Can I say something? I think last year, here with Albert, were in Amsterdam. So they signed the MOU. So consider the question, we talk about system education in Europe. So if, as umbrella organization of 87 peoples, if we think it's almost impossible to set up a core curriculum, I'm wondering how can you convince European Union or to try to set up a no for TCM?
No, I think it is incredibly complex. I don't believe that it's impossible to put together a core curriculum. I think that the problem will be being able to monitor compliance.
As a member from ETCMA, we are the association from the Netherlands, John. So a few years already, we give credit to the practitioners from our all ETCMA members. For example, if you studied acupuncture in Germany or in France, you want to move to Netherlands, as long as you're a member from the associations of the umbrella of ETCMA, we accept your educations, but we do an extra evaluation for this. So I think at least from the first step for ETCMA, we should promote this. Not only people move to Netherlands, we accept you, also should be the other way.
Yeah, sure.
So I think this should be probably one of their last busy agenda points for ETCMA board.
And we have discussed to kite mark.
Oh yeah, we have.
We have discussed to kite mark in Nice last year. So that's one possibility without having to go fully into full accreditation.
Well, yes, it's a first stage, which is that there is compliance with what are the minimum educational guidelines for entry to the ETCMA, but even monitoring compliance with that, when you ask for documentation and evidence for that from the membership, and it comes in lots of different languages and they don't translate it into English, you know, you're relying on people's you know, honesty and all the rest of it in terms of that. And so to really make the compliance have any relevance and teeth, you have to be able to do some groundwork, which requires, you know, the translation of documents and so on, so that you can even measure that kind of compliance. But if you have it, then yes, you know, the ETCMA are thinking that, you know, they could offer a kite mark, which says that you have achieved that. So that's the first stage that we're looking at. Before necessarily the core curriculum.
I'm sorry, maybe just explain what a kite mark is, because it's not, a kite mark is a very British or Irish
term.
word.
Do you all know what we mean by a kite mark?
A benchmark?
Yes, it's you know, being able to put a logo on your school and says, right, we comply with. And that's the kite mark of the ETCMA that you have reached. What do you call it?
Any question? If you want, I can send this PowerPoint for you. Okay. Once again, thank you.